It's a terrible football show. All right.
I want whatever you guys are smoking right now.
Come on, Shane. OH. OH.
Oh, baby, yeah. Shane, I swear to God.
Welcome to a terrible football show.
That's my quarterback and my teammate, man.
Ruins my fucking holiday every damn year.
Alex,
What up?
you can thoroughly kiss my ass.
Why not let us decide the top four?
Yeah, let a terrible football show
Let a terrible
decide the top four.
Fuck you, Shane.
Roll Tide. Have a good one, guys.
Oh,
Have a good one.
Oh, yeah, he's got to go. Get him out of here. Get him out of here.
You know, I like that Baker Mayfield and myself, man. He was baking up there in the Browns, and it just turned into a big old shit pile. So
Get that right. I will fly you out and take you to a game in Dallas of your fucking choice.
Oh, shit. Yeah, he's successful at just giving his terrible opinions, so why can't I? It's a terrible football show after all.
Hours because of the fucking stupid rain.
Yeah, it's been a week. I also just now unmuted us on screen. My bad. Welcome to a terrible football show. It's all good, though. We had the audio recording, so I'll fix that later for the audio version, of course, and everything, but it is what it is, bro. It's a terrible football show. What do you expect from us? But yeah, welcome to ATFS episode 66. Final episode before the break for anyone listening to the video format right now. We'll be going on a break for our summer. We do this every year. Just a chance to recharge the batteries and everything. And then we'll get back at it. Weekly schedule beginning of August. We'll do one episode in June, one in July. And when we come back in August, it will be with a clean number of 69. That was 100% planned out like that. I'm just being very transparent. But yeah, Jacob's doing great. Besides, rain kind of killing him. I feel you on that, my friend. Shane, what about you, dude? How you doing? How you feeling?
Doing alright. Kind of been sluggish today, so I didn't go to work. It didn't even bother.
I feel that.
Been in bed. I literally got out of bed like 30 minutes before the show. Kind of out of it today, so.
I've been up since 4:30, so I feel you on the sluggish part. I definitely feel you on that one. We got an early start tomorrow, too, getting up at 4. So I feel you. I'm a little sluggish, but it's all going to be worth it here soon. Next Tuesday, on our first Tuesday of no show, going to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 with the lady. So I'm excited for that. And then after Friday, I'm off. Have a 3-day weekend to play the new Legend of Zelda. And I'm very excited for that. So, it's all going to be worth it. You have to make it through this week. Now, Ricky, what about you, dude? How you doing? How you feeling? You got a side.
I have been following the Raiders, guys, since the year 2000.
Okay.
Because that was about the time I really started getting into football. I have a stepbrother who played football around that time. He was in elementary during that time. And it was real fun. It was just real fun to watch. And so, I got into college and then, I got in the pros. You heard about, the Cowboys and everything like that from the 90s and everything like that. I used to watch them all the time. And then I fell in love with the Oakland Raiders, who at one point had the greatest wide receiver who has ever played the game of Jerry Rice. They have a ton of talent. I think Rich Gannon,
Tim Brown, baby.
One of the most underrated quarterbacks of all time. I think Rich Gannon would probably go down. You would think by now they would have figured it out, and they still can't draft. They still can't draft. What are we? Mark Davis, if this podcast gets to you,
I'll send it to
you
him.
might sell the team. Jerry Jones is a better draft person than you are. Sell the team. Just do it. Just do it now. Just do it now.
Hey, he might be looking around the room about it, because you remember all the stories where it's like, oh, the Raiders didn't even have enough money to fire Josh McDaniels, whatever, and stuff like that. Man, I guarantee you, Mark Davis, like, I understand he may want to keep the Raiders because it does bring in money to, obviously, to some extent, even though they apparently didn't have money, like, family, heritage and everything. But man, you cannot tell me, as an NFL owner of a franchise that's not that great. If you're a great franchise, I understand you're not even going to look at it, but you cannot tell me in a situation like Mark Davis, you ain't looking over at Washington and seeing how much that team fucking sold for and be like, ooh, buddy, I could get me a lot of money, especially right here in Vegas, brand new stadium. Woo!
But that's what I'm saying, though.
Sell the team.
Alex, they're in Las Vegas, Nevada. I have been to Las Vegas.
Oh.
I went to Las Vegas last April. I know what's in Vegas. And there is a huge attraction when it comes to professional sports. It's the perfect place for professional sports.
Yeah.
And guess what? The Oakland Athletics, they're selling their plate. They're going to Vegas.
Yep.
And I'm so happy that Mark Davis is ticked off about it. I hope he sells the team because he cannot draft. I'm not talking about Tyree Wilson, and I'm not talking about Michael Maher. But when you draft, early drafting is very, very simple. To a certain extent, it can be simple. But the later draft rounds is what really tests a football club.
True.
And this guy does not have it whatsoever. We'll go into details later.
We will, and also shout out to the Oakland Athletics. Let's have a moment of silence for Oakland sports in general, because now they've lost all their professional sports teams. Moments passed. Actually, funny enough, there's a guy at one of the stores that I cover. He's actually from that area of California. And he's a big baseball fan, and we were chatting about it and everything. And he understands completely, and he's excited for the move because he thinks then the Oakland Athletics can maybe actually become competitive. But he is bummed about it because it's just like he's bummed about it, but not in the sense of like he's like upset that they're doing it. He gets it because he's just like the city of Oakland completely fucked every sports team that's over there. Like top to bottom, they have fucked every single sports team. He did bitch to me about the Coliseum where the Athletics play, and he's just like, man, I used to go to Coliseum games when I was a kid, and it was fucking beautiful until they built that giant Mark Davis monstrosity that blocks the view of all the mountains and stuff. So it's a sad day over in Oakland to some extent, but at the same time, I feel like Oakland fans are like, you know what, we get it. The city has just fucked the athletics and just when I say athletics, I mean sports in general. Oakland, the city has just fucked the sports altogether, and now Oakland no longer having a sports team. It's kind of wild, honestly. It is honestly kind of wild that we've now reached a point where a city that's been known for a couple of incredible sports programs over there. And then, of course, Golden State kind of played between both. Now they're just all San Fran. Now they got nothing. But that's for another day. That's a conversation for just a terrible sports show, which may happen at some point. Keep your lookout for that. But anyway, let's chat about the draft here today, boys. So here's what we're gonna do. We're, of course, as we always do, we're going to give our thoughts on our respective teams. So Bears and Jags for me, Cowboys for both Ricky and Jacob, Bengals for Jacob, Raiders for Ricky, and then Shane with the Seahawks and Broncos, of course. So we're going to chat about that. We're also going to chat about teams that is our favorite draft class, teams that is our least favorite, and we're going to kind of do some thoughts on picks by the day. So like day one favorite, day one least favorite, day one most shocking, day one disappointment, and we're going to repeat that for each day. So day 2 and 3. So that's how we're going to handle today's episode, is do a full draft breakdown. So let's just jump into it, boys. Let's start things off with our squads. Who wants to start? Anyone want to take the floor? Or do you want me to step up, lead off? How do we want to go? Who wants to start?
Yeah, screw it. I'll just, I started the thing with the Raiders. I'll start with the Raiders.
We're already on the conversation.
Let's talk let's just talk about how crappy this Raiders
I'm gonna
draft
pull up
really
the Raiders
was.
draft with you.
Considering the simple fact is Al Davis has come back from the dead to make this draft, ladies and gentlemen. He really has. Okay, so I'll be honest with you guys. I was very, very optimistic about the Raiders. In the first 2 picks, I was very, very optimistic with Tyree Wilson and Michael Mayer. I really believe both of those guys are really going to be able to contribute to the franchise right off the bat as rookies, and then it went downhill from there. So I understand the need of going out and getting a defensive tackle, and I also understand of going out and getting a receiver because you know what? Let's just face it, we all need them. All right. So, my computer froze on me for a second. Hang on one second, guys. All right. So here we go. 3rd round. Byron Young, defensive tackle out of Alabama. It was a little bit of a reach, but it wasn't completely pathetic like the rest of the picks were. So I'm okay with Byron Young. He's an Alabama defensive, Nick Saban type of dude. So I'm fine with that. But the rest of this draft, like I said, it just goes down completely hill from here. So we get to Trey Tucker. Let me remind people, Trey Tucker is a Al Davis, not a Mark Davis. He is an Al Davis pick. Why? Because the dude is super, super fast. But let me remind you, Trey Tucker wasn't the best receiver that came out of Cincinnati. That dude got drafted in the 4th round. This dude was overall ranked 222, and the Raiders got him with the 100th pick.
Yeah.
It's like... It's like I'm okay if you draft this guy, but if you want a wide receiver, let me just name a couple of receivers that were drafted in the 4th round. All right, so 4th round, you have Tyler Scott, who was way better in Cincinnati, and his overall rank was a lot better. Charlie Jones. For Purdue, he was another receiver that was way better. I think those were the only 2 that were drafted in the 4th round. Those 2 right there.
No, there's one more. The second receiver for TCU.
For TCU,
Darius
yes, I
Davis,
forgot about him.
He was drafted by LA so he's going to be with his teammates still. Shout out to that.
All of those were rated higher and much better than Trey Tucker. A lot better than Trey Tucker. The rest of them, honestly, a lot of them probably don't even matter. Jacorian Bennett, who I actually do kind of like that pick. He was actually a very late round pick, or I'm sorry, he was an early 4th round pick, but I thought he would go a lot sooner than what he did. But corners are, it's quarterback. So yeah. I was okay with that pick. It's not the worst pick.
Now let me ask you this. Are you okay with Bennett over Ringo? Because Ringo was picked by the Eagles right after you.
No, that was something else I wanted to point out before this even started. That's something I should have pointed out from the very get-go, because there were 3 players who went on day 3 that should have went at least on day 2, and I've got them right here. Give me 1 second, boys. I got to pull up. Kelly Ringo was one of them. He should have. I'm sorry. I don't care. When you have the school Georgia on there, I don't care what their overall rating is. You get a Georgia defender before you get someone from Maryland, okay? Let's just get that straight, okay? Let's just get that straight, because the last time I checked, Georgia is a 2-time defending national champion, probably going to win a 3rd, guys. Do not sleep on Georgia. I know they lost a lot of people. We'll talk about that at the new season. But here we are. You're getting a guy from Maryland instead of getting Kelly Ringo out of Georgia, who was way better ranked. There's a second player that was also, I can't pronounce the dude's name from Northwestern, but he was also the top 50, top 60s that didn't get taken until the 3rd day, which I thought he should have been taken earlier. And then a guy that at one point, I had this guy in the 1st round. Yes, DeJuan Jones out of Ohio State. I had him in the
Ohio State.
The Ohio State. I'm sorry, the Ohio State. I had him. Now I know that he slipped quite a bit in the draft because we started seeing these other linemen come up a little bit more in the draft. But of all the things in the entire world, those 3 right there were picked on the 3rd day, and they were good enough, guys, to be picked up on the 2nd day, at least in the mid to late 2nd round, at least. And they were not picked up too much later. So it means these scouts have seen something in them they don't like. But we're talking about a Georgia defender, and you choose a guy from Maryland. So yes, even though I'm okay, I'm overall okay with the pick. Like as in general, I would have been okay had Kelly Ringo not been available. If Kelly Ringo would have been available, I've been fine with it, okay? Then later on in the draft, you really stretch on this one. You stretch more than the Rams stretch because Stetson Bennett at my point and my board wasn't even going to be drafted, but you draft Aiden O'Connell. Now listen, I know that Purdue is not what you would consider a recent football powerhouse or anything like that, but come on, if you're going to sell people on a quarterback in Las Vegas, you should have skipped Michael Maher in the second round, and you should have drafted Hendon Hooker in the second round because he was available to grab, which I had predicted that you would do. And once again, you just go completely the opposite way, and you get somebody that, to me, I'm sorry, I don't trust Josh McDaniels with Aiden O'Connell. I trust someone like, oh gosh, what's his name? Don't forget it. We're just going to move on. Christopher Smith out of Georgia. Hey, he's got a Georgia name on it. Good job. And the rest of the two guys aren't going to matter because they're going to get cut anyway. Overall, this was an Al Davis type draft. They went all over the place. I have no idea. Raiders fans everywhere, I have no idea where this franchise is going.
I'd like to interject on pretty much everything. Let me give you some optimism for this draft class for the Raiders here, okay? Because, mind you, like I said before the show, the Raiders draft class was up there for honorable mention for me for best draft class, considering. Obviously, you said Tyree Wilson, Michael Mayer. They were great. Great picks. Byron Young, fantastic pick. A little bit of a reach, but fantastic pick nonetheless. Trey Tucker, the reason why they drafted him wasn't to be a number 1 or a number 2 or a number 3 guy, because you got all 3 guys. They drafted him to be a number 4 guy with speed and to be a returner. I think he's good at that. Jakarian Bennett, you guys desperately need to get better in man coverage, and that's where this guy excels, is press man. Aiden O'Connell, not the flashiest of picks for quarterback, but he has a tremendous upside to him if obviously coached right. Short to medium range for him is fantastic. Deep range is a little sketchy, but his arm strength and his quickness to snap the ball and pass is fantastic. Christopher Smith, probably one of the best picks you guys got in the fucking draft, because Christopher Smith was huge, and the fact that he fell to the 5th round is insane.
Yeah. I will say that. Here's my thing, and this is where I'm going to counter you at. Okay, I'm okay with Jakorian Bennett. They had better options. Than Jakorian
I don't think
Bennett.
They did at that point in time have better options.
Kelly Ringo.
Kelly Ringo is not good in press man coverage.
But Kelly Ringo.
Jakorian Bennett is.
But Kelly Ringo overall is a better cornerback than what Jakorian Bennett is, and even in the
what you guys needed.
Even in the professional realm, though, I think at the end of the day, Kelly Ringo was going to have a much better career than Jakorian Bennett. Remember, he has Georgia beside his name. Georgia. We're
Doesn't
talking
matter.
about 2 times. Yes, it does. It
No,
always matters. It always matters.
You guys did what the Lions did. You drafted with specific roles in mind for each guy you got.
I didn't even like the Lions draft that much, but anyway, I'm sure we'll tackle that later. I don't know.
Oh, we will.
I'm just saying overall, I think we reached way too much more than what we needed to. A guy like let's put it this way. A guy like Trey Tucker. If you want a guy like Trey Tucker, I have no problem with it because the guy is super fast. I get that. But a guy like him would have been available in the 5th, 6th, and possibly the 7th round because of how low his rank was. He was not a very high prospect in the draft. You don't draft a guy who's 243rd overall in the 3rd round. You get somebody that you can build, somebody that you can use now, not somebody that you're going to use 3-4 years down the road. Now
you're going to use him now.
Yeah, okay. You may use him on special teams, but that's it. I mean, special
that's all
teams.
You need.
Right, but special teams before too long will be like the XFL.
Because it's not like you guys are hurting for wide receivers. You have Devontae Adams, you have Jacoby Myers, you have Hunter Renfrow.
I agree. But like I said, you draft him in the later rounds and you get somebody, it doesn't necessarily have to be a receiver. You could get somebody else you can get a different position at that point. I'm just saying Trey Tucker would have been available in the 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds. They could have gotten somebody better than that at that point, and then waited to the later rounds. Trey Tucker would have been there in the later rounds. I'm telling you, he would have.
I don't think he would have specifically because of his speed.
That's neither here nor there, but I disagree.
Also, we do have Steve here in chat, pumping up the Eagles, because they had a great draft and everything.
Screw the Eagles.
The Georgia Eagles. Ricky, Steve also has a comment for you specifically.
All right.
He tells you to grow back your beard. He said, bring back the beard.
Okay, so here's the thing, gentlemen. So this is the reason why I had to chop off the beard. I officiated a basketball game Saturday night. It was an alumni game. No, it doesn't mean anything, but anytime I officiate, I chop off the beard. It's just one of those things. It will be grown back during the rest of the offseason, which I know we're not going to have another episode for a while. But during like especially when football season starts, yeah, I will have no beard.
Okay.
If we come back in August and I don't see you with a beard like mine, I'll be very upset.
I highly doubt I get a beard that big, man. Highly doubt I get a beard that big. It's one of those things. Years ago, whenever I first started officiating, and I know it's a little bit different now, but I was always told coaches like it. Like you get more respect from coaches, you get more respect from your officiating crew with the clean shave and a decent haircut. So that's why I go clean shave when I officiate.
That's old school way of thinking. Screw those people.
I'm just saying it's just the way I present myself. I've just always done it that way.
All right, let's react to another draft class. Ricky, if you had to put a letter grade on the Raiders, would you give it an F?
I'd give it a C.
Okay.
And the only reason I would give it that is because I can't ignore the first 3 picks, and I can't ignore the late pick. I can't ignore that. But what my whole thing is, Trey, in my opinion, as low as Trey Tucker was rated, I personally think, even with his speed, Jacob, I personally believe he would have been available in the 5th and 6th rounds.
Okay. So next one that we can do, we'll save Cowboys for now, since both of you've got it. You guys can kind of chat about it and go back and forth. So Shane, do you want to hit one of yours? Or do you want me to hit one of mine?
I can hit one of mine.
All right. What you got? Which one do you want to start with?
I'll start with the obvious pick here. Seattle Seahawks. I think they were in contention for one of the best drafts. For me personally, that could be some personal bias there, but I think they just got great value. Devin Witherspoon, they got JSN in the first rounds. I like that pick. Those 2 picks alone put them in contention to win the first round. I don't think they won the first round, but it's up there. And then you grab linebacker Derek Hall out of Auburn, Zach Charbonnet, running back out of UCLA, which I really like. Kind of an underrated guy. And just tons of picks of filling positions that we need. Only thing I would say I didn't like about Seattle's draft is that we drafted 2 running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Drafted Kenny McIntosh in the 7th round, and then of course, like I said, Zach Charbonnet in the 2nd. But other than that, I really like Seattle's draft, and I'd probably give them a B+.
Okay, all right.
You forgot the best player they drafted, by the way, Jackson Smith-Njigba.
No, he said JSN.
I said JSN.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
He just said JSN. All right, Jacob, you want to hit the Bengals, or do you want me to hit one of mine?
I can go with the Bengals. That's fine.
All right, then I'll do mine. Let me get the Bengals pulled up with you here. All right, here we go.
All right. First off, their first 3 picks were phenomenal. Miles Murphy fell right into their laps. Even though his draft stock fell,
We called that.
I do think he is going to be a force to be reckoned with on that defense. DJ Turner, shut down cornerback. I hated him when Ohio State played Michigan, and I'll love him in the NFL because, man, that guy has a lot of talent. Jordan Battle, another person who should have probably been picked in the 2nd round, like mid mid-second round, but fell to the third round. I would say the only thing that I really don't care for is the wide receiver from Princeton, Andre.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Izovis?
whoa!
What?
Hold on. I love that guy.
That's the best receiver you got.
No.
Okay.
I love
Okay.
that guy.
Okay.
I love him.
He's a good receiver.
He was a good prospect.
He's
He
a good
was.
receiver, but I don't think after picking the wide receiver from Purdue, Charlie Jones, I don't think we needed to pick another one.
Nah, friend. I mean, he's going from one set of tiger stripes to another. He's about to be one of your career starters. He was almost
He
my
is.
pick for the
Hmm.
career starter
He's-
category that we'll do here in a bit.
And
Ooh.
he's got a name that you could put Pro Bowl next to because he's just got a name you can't pronounce.
Bingo. That guy's gonna be a Pro Bowler.
That's gonna be your Pro Bowler right there, man.
I love that guy.
Oh my god. Now you know who's going to be our Pro Bowler? Brad Robbins, the punter from Michigan. That I
Hey.
correctly predicted was going to happen.
You did, yeah.
Now I'm starting to wonder what Harbaugh's gonna do next year that his place kicker and his punter's gone.
No,
Uh.
overall, I would give the Bengals probably either. I would give them a B- for this draft class. I think this was one of their better draft classes in recent years. Not a lot of flashy names, but a lot of talent that was much needed in the positions that they drafted.
Steve also gave some rankings here in chat as well. He said the Seahawks maybe a C+ or B-, and he gave the Bengals a B+. So there you go.
I agree with the B+. I think this is a good draft class for them.
I think B+ is good. Yeah. All right, so I will hit the Jacksonville Duval Jaguars. So in terms of a letter grade, I mean, honestly, I gave them an A personally because the one thing not only do I love a lot of these draft picks, I love the depth that the Jaguars got because like they had a lot of draft picks and they utilized them quite a bit. Now, I do have one very random ass gripe about this entire class, and it's actually the very last pick. You could have got an absolute fucking weapon in fucking Jack from Oregon State, but instead you get Derek Parrish from fucking Houston. Like Jack Coletto, man, was playing linebacker. He was playing special teams. He was playing fullback. He was playing tight end, and he was making plays at all three. But he did get picked up by San Fran as an undrafted free agent. Shout out to that. I like the Anton Harrison pick. I mean, obviously, O-line is something that we desperately need. I really wanted Dalton Kincaid first round. I really wanted that tight end, but Antoine Harrison is something that we desperately need. We, just continue to protect our franchise guy, especially with the issues that we're now looking at with Cam. Brenton Strange was kind of not on my radar as much. Did some homework on that one thanks to, Jacob here and Tyler, and I'm actually really happy with the pick. Still wish I could have had Dalton Kincaid, but I like him a lot. Tank Bigsby, I think, is a great pick to put behind ETN. Big fan of that. Ventrell Miller, that's a guy that I actually really thought the Jaguars could have gone for. I think I had him in one of my 7-round mocks I did previously. Big fan of that one. Fan of Lacey, fan of Yasa, and also Antonio Johnson. Love that one a lot. Love that one. Yeah, got to protect the division vet. That is 100% true. That video was hysterical, by the way. I love Antonio Johnson pick a lot. Parker Washington, big fan of that one. I mean, overall, top to bottom, I'm just a big fan of this draft. Like I said, my only kind of gripe was I wish we could have got Coletto. I love him so much. I'm glad he got signed by someone, got signed by San Fran, but the big thing about this draft to me is they just filled out a stupid amount of depth. That's the big thing that I kind of take away from the Jaguars. I think it was an excellent draft this year for the Jags. Looking forward to seeing where they're going to kind of go from here.
Yeah, my favorite pick with y'all was Tank Bigsby. I really think had he had better coaching at Auburn, he probably would have been a higher draft pick than what he was right there. But I think Tank Bigsby is going to do very well for Jacksonville.
Yeah.
My favorite pick was Parker Washington. As you guys know,
I like
for the
that.
last few months, I've been very high on Parker
First-
Washington, and he's going to be a huge asset for Trevor Lawrence.
I'm pumped.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped for that pick. Not as pumped as I am for the Bears wide receiver pick, though. Let me tell you. I am not like that. That one, it got me through the ceiling level of pumped. Since I mentioned it, I'll go ahead and do the Bears real quick, and then we'll kind of pass it back around the room. Bears, to me, like an A-. I thought this draft was incredible. I love, what we did in the first round, trading down that one pick, and still get the guy we wanted, get an extra pick out of it. Darnell Wright, I think, is awesome for us. We've been really high on him. Going to be a great protection for Justin Fields. Our offensive line's actually finally put together. Dexter and my guy Stevenson from the U in the second round. Big fan of those two. Pickens, I like that one a lot. We're really, our first 4 picks is all in the trenches. 3 of 4 are in the trenches. You know what I mean? Like that's awesome. That's what we need. But then, now where I'm kind of like, we could have gone elsewhere. I'm not the biggest fan of the Johnson pick. I like it, but there are other players that I really wanted more. But the Johnson pick, I think will be fine. I'm not going to knock it. I mean, we've done well at later round running back picks anyway. The past few years. I mean, Matt Forte was a 2nd round pick. Jordan Howard was a 4th round pick. Khalil Herbert, I think, was a 6th round pick, and now he's going to be our starter. And he played really well and didn't fumble one time last year. These later round picks, the Bears have been good about over the years, and I think this Johnson will be another good compliment to Herbert. But there are just other guys I wish we could have got, including one being a guy the Bengals got with fucking Chase Brown. I've been so high on Chase Brown, and I really wanted him in fucking Chicago. But Noah Sewell and Tyler Scott, those are 2 picks that sent me through the roof. Terrell Smith as well. All 3 of those picks, Tyler Scott, Noah, and Terrell, like, dude, I went through the roof on those picks, especially Tyler Scott. I am so pumped about those picks that I cannot even begin to express. I think Tyler Scott's going to really put some pressure on Claypool and Mooney. I think the guy that's definitely got the biggest heat behind him this year is going to be Mooney. He's not one of Poles' guys, obviously. This will be the last year of his deal, and he's got to step up and prove that he's worth a re-sign. Claypool, while I'm not a big fan of him anyway, he did at least get traded for by Poles. Mooney's kind of the outlier, so I think Scott can compete with Mooney right now for that 3rd spot. And, I'm overall, I'm a big fan of this Bears draft class. I think the Bears absolutely knocked it out of the park, at least in my opinion. All right, who wants to step up? Shane, do yours, and then we can finish off with the Cowboys since they're both going to be doing it.
All right, sounds good. I will say that pick at Noah Sewell. I mean, if you go back to our pre-draft,
Claypool was a
preseason, our preseason show for this season, I was super high on Noah Sewell.
Yeah,
as was a lot of people, and he was, I mean, at the time he was the top linebacker in the country.
Yeah.
So for him to fall to them at that spot, incredible. I think it was a great value pick.
Yep. I'm the only one not high on him.
Probably.
I honestly think that was one of the worst picks you guys got.
I love the pick. I love the pick.
Yeah.
The reason why I do not like him is because his eyesight is terrible. His peripheral eyesight is terrible. He lacks strength and speed for playmaking, and he cannot cover. He can't drop back and cover a short range. He sucks at that.
So this one will be pretty quick. Denver. I mean, it really comes down. I like our first 3 picks. Marvin Mims, receiver at Oklahoma, Drew Sanders out of Arkansas, and Riley Moss, cornerback out of Iowa. Other than that, I mean, it's just hard to really spot it with Denver. I mean,
yeah, this is still the Russell Wilson stuff you're dealing with.
Yeah, so I mean, it's tough. I mean, I think the first 3 picks are quality picks. I think those 3 players will extremely help. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about J.L. Skinner or Alex Forsyth from Oregon. But yeah, I mean, that's about it. I'd probably just give them a C just because
you did the best of what you had.
Yeah, and it just hopefully it's quality over quantity here.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
I will say, whenever I was going through and picking like least favorite drafts, I made sure to purposely avoid the teams that just didn't have anything because that seems unfair. And honestly, they wouldn't fall in that category anyway because the Dolphins had 4 picks and the first 2 picks alone knocked it out of the park, in my opinion. For what they did. So I tried to avoid those teams because that feels really unfair to judge the Broncos and the Dolphins and call them the worst draft. They did the best with what they had.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing because I personally I don't think they had a bad pick considering what they had.
Yeah.
So I mean because like I said, J.L. Skinner, I've heard of him. He's a pretty good safety. I think he's going to do. I I mean yeah he was a 6th-round pick, but he could have easily been a 5th-round pick, or even a 4th-round pick. But like I said, just with the way the teams needed and everything, like they got their other needs before they got a safety this year. This year was not a highly safety draft class, but JL Skinner's not a bad pick at all. I think he'll make the team. Alex Forsyth, I'm not sure if he'll make the team or not, but I still though considering what they had, it's not a bad pick.
All right, Cowboys fans, what's your thoughts on your draft? I'm still, even if you enjoy the Mozzie Smith now, I'm still gonna make that into a TikTok for you guys' meltdown. I just haven't had time.
I thought we could have done better than Mozzie Smith in the first round, but I think the one thing, Jacob, that made me feel better about the Mozzie Smith pick was when I found out Kansas City wanted him too, and Jerry refused to trade him. So apparently,
No, Steve, I have not.
Mozzie was one of those guys who was just underlooked, and I just could we have gone with like a Michael Maher or something like that? Possibly so. So I mean, as far as that, at first I wasn't super high on the pick. I thought we could have set ourselves up a little bit better. Luke's, I can't. Is that Schoonmaker? Schoonmaker? I don't know how you pronounce his name. I'm not even going to try it. Decent tight end. I wish we would have gotten Tucker Kraft there. I'm just going to be honest with you. I
Yeah.
think
That was
I
your
mean,
chance.
the future owner of the Chicago Bears, Tucker Kraft.
Whoa.
It just. I'm just saying. I thought we could have done better, but like again, he was on the radar. And then of course you look at some of the defensive players we've gotten. I can't even pronounce DeMarvin Overshown out of Texas. Obviously he's a Texas guy, so that's no surprise there. Villameli Fico, I think his name, out of San Diego State or San Jose State. I'm sorry. He was a bit of a stretch, but apparently, oh gosh, can't even think of his name at the moment. But apparently, someone on the Cowboys staff, it was on his radar. He could be one of those guys that you could really develop. I had no problem with them drafting Asim Richards out of North Carolina as an offensive tackle. My favorite pick, though, and I think you'll agree with me, my favorite pick by far was Deuce Vaughn.
I do agree with you. Deuce Vaughn was my favorite pick of our draft as well. Yes, Alex, you can still make it into a TikTok,
Yes.
but after some careful research and being, level-headed and not exhausted, the Mozzie Smith pick makes complete and total sense because we needed help at the D tackle spot because we either lost people or they got injured last year and weren't nearly as good when they came back. So we desperately needed some run stopping power. And Mozzie Smith is a big boy and he can plug up them holes and hopefully finally get our run defense under control. Luke Schoonmaker, it was a forced tight end pick, unfortunately. And I think we made the better pick than Tucker Kraft. I'll be honest with you, only because Luke Schoonmaker's blocking ability is way better than Tucker Kraft.
I will agree with you on that one. I will definitely agree with you on that one. But I like I said, I'm used to the Jason Witten type that goes out and catches passes and things like that. I just don't see Schoonmaker being that type of guy.
Picks 4 through 6 were reaches. Were they bad reaches? Not necessarily. Were they good reaches? Not necessarily. But Smith and Vaughn were the 2 picks that I loved the most. I think Deuce Vaughn will give Tony Pollard a run for his money when it comes to carries, and Mozzie Smith is going to be a monster on that D line, and he's going to free up Micah Parsons to do a lot more damage this year.
Can I also throw in some thoughts on this draft?
Sure.
You want to know my favorite pick of the draft?
Of the entire draft or Dallas' draft?
Of Dallas.
Who?
Well, okay, besides Deuce, but I'm only a fan of the Deuce pick mostly because it's the dad thing. That was really cool. But Does anyone want to take a guess about my favorite pick in this draft class for the Cowboys?
Eric Scott Jr.
No,
Gonna be is it gonna be Fehoko?
it is Fehoko. Yes,
I knew it. Yeah, I love that pick too.
I love that guy personally. First and foremost, fuck San Jose State. Let me just go ahead and throw that out there. Go Bows, baby. But this guy is actually a fucking beast. He won Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year last year. He's a 3-time first team Mountain West, all Mountain West from 2020 to 2022. I like this guy a lot. I mean, he is, 9 sacks last year, 7 sacks before that, 6 sacks before that. I mean, he's gotten, good on the forced fumble side of things. I mean, I think this guy is actually a really good player. I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to be a fucking stud for you guys, but I think he's going to be like an absolute, good rotation player. And it's one that I think Cowboys fans should be excited for personally.
You want to know a fun fact about him? About drafting him? There was 2 players that Dan Quinn said that if they're there, get them. And that was Smith and Fehoko. And we got both of them.
Yeah. I love this
they're
guy.
Dan Quinn guys.
I love this guy.
Yeah, they're Dan Quinn guys, and they're just more weapons on that D line to free up for Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
It's going to be nasty.
True.
So Dan Quinn drafting, Dan Quinn is like the Paul Heyman of the NFL. He just picks people he likes. Like, I want that dude.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of that draft pick in particular. Like, I feel like I'm the one person on the planet throwing that out there. Like, oh yeah, that's my favorite pick from the Cowboys draft class. But I mean, I've seen this guy, playing against Hawaii and everything, and just following the Mountain West. I like Mountain West football, guys. I'm not gonna lie, Mountain West football is entertaining. For better or worse, it's entertaining as shit to me. So I'm a big fan of Mountain West football. All right, so we've gotten through all of our favorite teams. No, I didn't do the Bears, did I? No, yeah, I did. My bad.
You did.
Okay, good. All right, we've gotten through all of our favorite teams. Now let's hit some teams drafts that we loved. I'll start because it was very tough for me to narrow it down to 2. So I did pick 4s, so I'm going to speed run it though. I'm not going to take a lot of time on it. I don't want to take a lot of time for anyone. So the first one, let me double up with Jacob here. I'm a big fan of the Bengals draft. I'm a big fan of this draft because I love, personally, every pick, including the wide receiver from Princeton. Damn it. But no, I do love every pick here. I think the first 3 knocked out of the park. I cannot tell you the level of jealousy I feel that you guys got Chase Brown. I love the dude from Princeton. I've been high on him for a while. Got my guy DJ from the U. The Brad Robbins one's a good pick. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and assume Brad Robbins is going to be an absolute all-pro. I'm just going to just assume that based on how they draft special teamers. So Bengals, one of my favorites. The Lions. I love this draft, boys. I can't sugarcoat it. I love the Lions draft so much. Now, I do think that both their first-round picks I think they were both reaches. I think we can all agree to that. Mm-hmm. But just because they were a reach doesn't mean it was just a bad pick, though. I like Jamar Gibbs' pick for him to an extent. I mean, it makes this now Swift has been traded, whatever. It's going to pair well with Monty. But they were very high on him. They were willing to draft him top 10 if they had to. But the pick that makes my dick as hard as a fucking mountain is Jack Campbell in the first round, baby. I'm right there with Mad Mel on that one. But that makes my dick so rock hard. I can't even begin to tell you. I love this guy so much. The fact that he went first round makes me so fucking happy. So I love that. That is a Campbell guy, baby. I love Jack Campbell. Gosh. And then turned around and drafted Sam Laporta before Michael Mayer. I mean, they don't give a fuck about rankings. They're drafting guys that are perfect for them. Brian Branch, love that pick. Hendon Hooker, you got your future, behind Jared Goff. That's great. I love Martin from West Kentucky. I love Colby from Will and Mary, and then Anton Green as well. But man, I'm telling you, like, I love this class so damn much. I really do. 2 more that I'll shout out. Number 1, the Rams. They had a huge amount of picks, and they did really well across the board. The first 3 picks, awesome. Stetson, question mark. I love Davis Allen in the 5th. I love Zach Evans in the 6th. Shout out to Jason Taylor, the 2nd in the 7th. Plus they had Mr. Irrelevant, who I think is Deshaun Johnson from Toledo. I like him a lot. I think I'm glad he got drafted. I'm glad he's Mr. Irrelevant because I think he's going to make a little bit of a name for himself. And then the Browns, they had a very limited amount of picks, not picking until the 3rd round. But what they have, I fucking love it, man. I love Cedric Tillman. I love Ika from Baylor. DeJuan Jones is going to be a fucking Pro Bowler. And probably their best draft pick is fucking Luke in the 7th round. Luke from The Ohio State University. That center is going to be an absolute stud. And, all right, look. I'm an honest man.
Go ahead. You can say the Philadelphia Eagles. Go ahead.
No. Well, I didn't actually include them because it felt like the basic bitch answer.
Yeah.
But I am an honest man. Unfortunately, the Packers draft was fucking awesome, and I'm not happy about. So I wanted to shout that one out because they drafted my guy Luke Musgrave, and I'm really upset about it. But just across the board, they drafted a lot of guys that it's just like they were pretty high on my board. So unfortunately, I've got to give them a shout out. The Packers did have a great draft that I do low key love, and it makes me very upset. So those were mine. Those are the teams that I picked out as drafts that I absolutely loved. So whoever wants to step up to the plate next.
I'll step up to the plate since you talked about the Lions. I also picked the Detroit Lions.
I love this draft so much.
Now, okay, the draft for some may have been really fucking wonky, right?
Yeah.
But I think if you reorder the position that they're of their picks with how they got Brian Branch, who is first round talent.
Yep.
I think they drafted extremely well here. They drafted with specific roles in mind for the guys they got. They drafted for need as well and got everything they needed. In a weak division and a weak conference, they could and likely will do very, very good. And the other pick that I had is the one and only team in this entire draft that I think picked a perfect draft, got no picks wrong, reached for nobody. That is the Arizona Cardinals.
I was going to mention them too.
Their first 2 picks, just homers. Just they called their shot and just sent it with Paris Johnson Jr. and BJ Ojulari. How in the world did BJ fall into their pocket? I will never know. I'm jealous. Fuck the Cardinals. I hate the Cardinals. But man, the Cardinals did nothing wrong in the entire draft. And I'm shocked that it was Arizona of all teams.
That I agree. I'm shocked that it'd be Arizona too.
Let's be real here. I want to be. I mean, this is kind of surprising, right? Now people listening or watching probably don't believe this, but honestly, during the week, we don't talk too much about like our ideas going into the show as far as like, hey, I'm thinking this, but yet. Right now, we have 3 people in agreement. I'm going with the Detroit fucking Lions.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Listen, and I'm going to simply put it this way: their first 5 picks in the first 3 rounds. At some point, I had every single one of those players in the first round. Jahmyr Gibbs, I had him late in the first round at one point. Jack Campbell, late in the first round at one point. Sam Laporta in my 5.0 late in the first round. Brian Branch, mid first round. Hendon Hooker, mid first round. And they got every single one of them. I love this fucking draft.
Yep.
I think when I was looking through everything, this was the most simplest pick of who won the draft, other than, in my opinion, the 2 that obviously won it, right?
Yeah.
In my opinion, due to their first round move, the Houston Texans are in talks of winning this draft. Just based on the Will Anderson move, being able to trade back into 3. That was outstanding. And then the obvious pick, right? The Eagles. I mean, their draft was by far probably the best, and what everybody knows to be the best. Unfortunately, for two people on this show, but that's for another conversation. And yeah, I'll back actually I'll back Jacob and Alex with my other one, Bengals and Green Bay. Probably tied for the second best, other than those other two for me. And it was super hard as well because I was also looking at Arizona and Cleveland as well. Those teams just picked where they needed to be and got players that fell to them, that was on their board, and positions where they needed. They didn't reach for nobody. Detroit, like Alex said, probably reached with Jameer and Jack. But the thing is, that's their guys, right?
Yeah.
That's who they
If it's
wanted
going to be
at
their
those
starters, what does
positions.
it matter? You know?
So, I mean, it is what it is. So, yeah.
So it's definitely 4 for 4 on the Detroit Lions. I think you could almost make an argument that the Detroit Lions, outside of Philly, probably had the best draft. You can make that argument just based off, like everybody said, the first 5 picks at one point could have been mid first round picks. And somehow they all fell into their lap. I don't know if you guys caught this or not, but when Sam Laporta got drafted, the analyst took a shade at Iowa's quarterback, and he's like, "Well, Sam Laporta's at least gonna have a better quarterback throwing to him." I thought that was a great shade. Obviously I'm gonna back up the Green Bay Packers. Just because they drafted my guy Tucker Kraft. I don't understand why they drafted 2 tight ends, but they drafted 2 tight ends, and they got 2 good ones. Luke Musgrave is I think he's going to be an excellent tight end in the NFL. I think Jaden Reed is going to be a decent NFL receiver eventually. He may even give them help this year. I don't know. It depends on if they can get Jordan Love going. And then of course they drafted Sean Clifford. I was that was the only head scratcher that I really had. But I'm actually going to go a little further to a team. Well, first of all, shout out to San Fran for drafting a kicker in the 3rd round. Shout out to San Francisco for drafting a kicker. I absolutely loved that pick in the 3rd round. But I'm going to go down the list a little bit further to a team nobody's mentioning right now, which is perfectly fine, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I really believe Tampa Bay really kind of almost hit a good home run. Not necessarily a home run, but maybe a triple in this draft. Kalijah Clancy, which we've all been high on Kalijah Clancy. And then Cody Mock out of North Dakota State as an offensive tackle.
I love that one.
For those of y'all who don't know anything about this kid's front 2 teeth got knocked out. I believe it was a 7th grade basketball game. And there was nobody who was looking at him coming out of high school, and he ends up going to North Dakota State, and he ends up dominating at North Dakota State. And obviously, North Dakota State is one of the, if not the best program in the FCS. I like the Yaya Dobby from Louisville. I like the Dennis Pick out of Pittsburgh. I really like the tight end of Payne Durham out of Purdue. I think he is an NFL type tight end. And the fact that now I understand that this was a decent tight end class, but him dropping to the 5th round, I really believe had he gone last year, had he been eligible last year, you could have seen this guy been an easy 3rd round pick versus a 5th round pick this year. To me, just looking at this draft, even going all the way down to Trey Palmer out of Nebraska, who I think could be a potential decent receiver in the NFL, and even Jose Ramirez out of Eastern Michigan. I kind of caught an Eastern Michigan game on TV earlier in the year, and this kid could play as well. So I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a bad pick at all, and I didn't really see any reaches for them either.
Can I point out one thing? Can I go back to the whole kicker situation?
Before you do that, I want to shout.
I love it. I love it.
I want to shout out to the random reason why I laughed for the people listening to the show, like the audio format. It's because my guy Steve here in chat randomly chimed in, "Wow, guys, I'm watching the ticker across the bottom and see Packers suck, absolutely rude." And I forgot it was on there, so that's why I laughed randomly. But when Ricky was talking, I apologize to the audio listeners. All right, Jacob, go.
So I love, Ricky, how you specifically call out the kicker being drafted in the 3rd round when, in fact, your favorite team used the 17th pick overall in the 2000 draft to pick a kicker, Sebastian Janikowski.
But that's Sebastian Janikowski. Nobody knew he was going to be a heck of a kicker.
True, his leg power gave him that ability to be a 1st-round pick.
Hey, before we get to the teams that drafts we hate, one more team that I want to throw out there is I want to throw out the Steelers. I thought had a pretty good draft too. I was a big fan of theirs personally. All right, so yeah, let's get to teams that we hate. All right, so I had 3 picked out. What about you guys?
2.
Shane, Ricky, how many did you guys have picked out?
Well, I had the Raiders. That was one.
We've already gone through that one.
I just had one.
Okay. I guess I'll speed run mine real quick since I had the most. So the first one, which Ricky did kind of tease it earlier, is the Jets. I don't like their draft. I'm really disappointed with how this draft was. There's only 2 players on here I love, which do feature 2 they're just 2 players I'm massive fans of, being Joe Tippmann and Zach Kuntz down in the 7th round. I'm a big fan of both of those, especially Joe Tippmann. I mean, that guy's going to be a Pro Bowler for this team. But the rest of it, I think there were better options. But at the same time, while I'm not a fan of it now, I'm not going to write it off because Joe Douglas has done great drafting besides Zach Wilson. So I'm not going to completely write this off yet. I think it'd still be fine. The other 2 teams for me is the Saints. I just don't feel like the Saints did a lot with what they had. The big one that kills me is the running back in the 3rd. I think there was better options that they could have gone over Miller, in my opinion. Let me pull back up the round by round here when he was drafted. Let's see. Where is the Saints here in round 3? I keep overlooking it, I think. It was around
the 8th pick in the 3rd round.
8th pick in the 3rd round. Oh, yep, there it is. I mean, at that point, I would have taken Spears over him easy. At least in my mind, I would have taken Spears, who was taken by the Titans later on. Tank Bigsby, I would have taken him over Miller as well. And then you get down to the 4th, and there's guys in the 4th that I love even more. I would have waited till the 4th to get a guy like Chase Brown or something. I'm just not a fan of that pick. Their 1st round pick. I think he's going to be okay. I have not been high on Brian this entire mock draft season. None of us really have. I've continued to put him late 1st because I acknowledge that was just what was going to happen. But I've just never been a fan of him. A.T. Perry, I think, is okay. I do like Jake, though. Jake Hayner. I do like that one in the 4th round. It's really the only one that sticks out to me. It's like, okay, I don't know. I say that, but I do actually like Nick, the offensive tackle from ODU. But I'm not a massive fan of it. But Jake, I do like. I do like the quarterback pick. But just the rest of this draft, I can live without. And then my last one that I had was actually the Washington Commanders. I do acknowledge where Forbes was like an absolute machine with pick 6s. I get that. Martin, in my opinion, was the weakest link of that Illinois secondary. I mean, he's still good. Don't get me wrong, but he was the weakest link. Give me Witherspoon. Give me Brown before you give me Martin. Ricky Stormberg, you guys can attest on that pick personally. Braden Daniels, it's okay. I don't think it's a home run by any means. KJ Henry, I can live without it. Chris Rodriguez, which I know Shane kind of mentioned earlier. I think that was before we started the show, though. I like the pick, but at the same time, I still think there's there's other people that could have gone better. Andre Jones as well in the 7th. I'm just not a fan of. Like, I think when I look at this draft class, I'm gonna be very brutally honest with you guys. This is what I see. I see a team that is fully preparing to tank because they want Caleb Williams. That is what I see when I look at this draft class. But those were my 3 that I did not like.
Can I just go ahead and call this out now? May 2nd, 2023. Write this down, Jacob. Caleb Williams will be a bust in the NFL.
I don't have a strong opinion one way or another on that. Maybe a year from now I will.
I agree with you.
Give me another year in college with him, and I'll make my decision.
He's gonna be a bust, just like Jordan Addison will.
I think Jordan Addison will be fine because of the situation he went into.
I mean, yeah, Minnesota, but I mean, I guess that's a decent situation.
We'll get to our bust of day one here soon, Because I've got
I
mine.
will go next then, if that's the case.
Yeah,
Number
for it.
1, I have the Minnesota Vikings.
Really? Steve threw in chat Vikings had the best
God.
draft.
No.
Which
I think
I peeked
Jordan
it and I
Addison
disagree.
will be a bust. Blackman was a reach. Jay Ward, reach. Jaquel and Roy, that's a good pick. I'll give them that. Jaron Hall, BYU. That's all I have to say. And Dwayne McBride.
I love Dwayne McBride. That's the only thing they got going for him.
That was pretty good, but Minnesota's main concern out of this entire draft was defensive back. They took 2, but they failed to take anything that had explosive upside to it. I do not like either of their DB picks. Second is the New York Giants. I like the Deontay Banks pick. I like the John Michael Schmitz pick. And that's it.
You don't like the Jalen pick?
I think he's going to be a bust.
Okay.
Cedric Tillman, I think, was the better of the 2
I
wide
agree.
receivers that come out of Tennessee.
I
And
agree.
Jalen Hyatt is
One-dimensional.
too undersized to be in the NFL, to be explosive in the NFL.
And just very one-dimensional.
Well, I don't
Yep.
believe he's undersized. I mean, he's like what 6'3", 190 or
No,
something.
he's
like that. I think
6'3".
feet.
No, he's 176 pounds. That is small.
Yeah, he's 6
yeah,
foot,
so,
160.
I mean, I think he just
170.
needs to put on weight. And I mean, I stated this probably during our 3.0s. If he was to expand his route tree, he could be a very good receiver. But I mean, Alex is right. He is literally just a let me put a move on the guy on the line and just see how fast I can get by him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Who wants to hit their least favorite teams next?
I mean, mine's pretty
Y'all are
easy.
hit my favorite teams.
Ricky, I don't think anyone heard what you just said. You kind of like cut out. Ricky, we're losing you, bud. We're losing you, bud. We're losing you, bud.
I mean, freaking hate this internet. Pine
Oh,
Bluff
you're back.
sucks.
You're back.
He's
Yeah, so I'm sorry. Anyways, it's a terrible football show. What do you expect? Anyways, all of y'all have hit my least favorite of the draft. Every single
Okay.
one of y'all have hit my least favorite of the draft so far. I'm looking through and trying to pick one for crying out loud. And Minnesota was the one I was going to pick, and then Jacob picked it. Then I was going to pick the Giants. Jacob picked it. And then just Shane, give me time to find another one.
I mean, you're not gonna have much time because I'm agreeing with some of these guys that they've already chosen. I'm just gonna ride the bandwagon here. Saints were my number 1 before even Alex mentioned it. So that's my thing with all the same points that Alex said. And then as well, I will also second the Washington pick as well. Even though I liked their pick with Chris Rodriguez Jr. And of course, I mean, a little biased here, Ricky Stromberg, of course. I'm gonna be a little biased on that. But the thing is, though, Manuel Forbes, even though they claim him as a ball hawk, I mean, it's for the same reason that he's small, super small. Dude's like $170. He's like 6 foot tall. He's gonna get bullied around in the NFL, regardless of who they go up against, unless he's going to be guarding a smaller slot guy. And even then, is it Forbes or Forbes or whatever it is?
Forbes.
I know
Forbes.
he was in the 4.3 range or 4.4 range. But the thing is, he's so tall and lanky. I don't see him being able to flip his hips as quick as some of these guys, like Zay Flowers, Tyreek Hill. Like, he's not going to be able to guard those smaller slot receivers just because of how tall and lanky he is. I didn't like him at all in the mid first round. I thought he was a late first round, early second round pick. So to me, Washington completely bottled that as well. So
Okay, So I found one that I forgot about. The Los Angeles Rams.
I
Picks
loved
1,
it.
2, and 3 were fine. I don't. They have 3 TCU players, and 4 through 7 were pretty big reaches. Darius Davis, huge reach in the 4th round. Jordan McFadden out of Clemson,
Oh, wait.
huge reach
Oh,
in the 5th round.
Chargers. Okay, Chargers. You said Rams.
The Chargers, that's what I meant. I'm
Oh.
sorry, I meant the
I was
Chargers.
going to say, I
I'm
love
sorry.
the Rams
I'm
draft.
sorry. I'm sorry. I meant the Chargers, everybody. I meant the other LA
Yeah.
team.
Steve
The
threw it in
other
chat,
LA
too,
team.
that Chargers had a bad draft.
My fault. My fault. I meant the Chargers, not the Rams. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Rams I did like the Rams draft
Yeah.
quite a bit. But yes, the Chargers, 4 through 7 were like humongous reaches. They had 3 TCU players. 2 of them, Max Duggan. I don't know if Max Duggan is going to be a good NFL quarterback or not. He's a 7th round pick, so you may see him on a practice squad or something like that. If not the XFL. I just don't see him being an NFL type quarterback. And they really reached with Darius Davis. He definitely was not the best wide receiver on the board
Yeah.
at that time in the 4th round. They could have gone for a lot better than what they did. Jordan McFadden, I'm okay with Jordan McFadden. But there, like I said, though, it was just the positioning. I don't think Jordan McFadden, he should have been an unsigned. He should have just been one of those unsigned free agents. That was just a huge reach in the 5th round, as well as Scott Matlock was for Boise State. Just 4 through 7 overall was nothing but reaches. It's like, what the hell? Let's just get this, and that was it. I would not have drafted 3 TCU players. That was completely terrible.
True.
I love the fact they got Dayon Henley though.
Yeah.
I love how he's going to be
Yes,
the replacement
Dayon
for
Yeah,
Kendricks.
honestly, like I said this
That's-
to Steve in chat when he brought up the Chargers. Their 2nd and 3rd round picks is the only thing I really liked.
Yes, and I did point that out that I did
Yeah.
like those 2 picks. I did like those 2 picks. Yes.
They had a great day too. Everything else, yeah, well, it's a thing. Before we get into our favorite and like least favorite and like basically the picks by the day, Steve wanted to make sure he really wanted to hammer down and make sure that Jacob and Ricky, if you guys seen the new power rankings after the draft, he just really wanted to make sure that you guys have possibly seen that and seen who's at number 1. He wanted to make sure you guys saw that. So might want to take a look at that at some point in time. But anyway, Jacob.
What'd you say? I can't see much.
Oh God. All right, let's hop into picks by day. So the way I had it set up, I don't know if you guys did the same thing or something close. I did favorite, least, shocking, disappointing, and then I called out for a bust. I called out for a career starter, so just like an average player, just career starter for you. Pro Bowler, that's kind of their ceiling, and then I'm predicting a Hall of Famer. That's what I did. I don't know what everyone else did, but I
did the latter of the picks that you just mentioned.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so day 1 then. Favorite pick of the 1st round.
Ugh. I can tell you my least favorite pick was Anthony Richardson. I can tell you that much. Jordan Addison, I think, is going to be a bust. Brian Breesy was kind of a reach, in my opinion, for a 1st round pick, but I still think he has a chance to have a decent career. Let's see here. My favorite pick. I mean, obviously, my favorite move was when the Texans just came back and got pick number 2 and number 3. I think that's a given. If I had to say a favorite pick though of this entire 1st round, it's hard. It's really hard to say. I'm gonna go Kalijah Cansey out of Pittsburgh to the Buccaneers. I think that was my favorite pick.
Okay. Mine was the one that I already raved about. Jack Campbell's my favorite pick of the 1st round. My dick is so rock hard right now. Just thinking about it again, I could potentially flip this desk over. Like you could just see the whole thing just get flipped over and you guys look out the ceiling. Like Jack Campbell in the 1st round makes my cock so hard, boys. So that is by far my favorite pick of the 1st round.
My favorite pick, which may come as a little bit of a surprise to people, was Deonte Banks to the Giants.
Okay.
My favorite is going to be Paris Johnson Jr.
To
from
the
the Ohio
Cards.
State
Yeah.
Okay.
to Arizona.
Least favorite pick for me was Quentin Johnson That was by far my least favorite pick.
My least favorite is going to be Emmanuel Forbes, Washington.
My least favorite pick is Will Anderson Jr.
Really? Okay.
Specifically because of what they had to give up in order to get him. It was not worth it to me.
Okay.
And I think he's an average player, or will be an average player in the NFL.
Okay. Did everyone get their least favorite pick, or am I missing someone here?
No, I think we got everybody
Okay.
unless Ricky
Well, I mean,
didn't.
Anthony Richardson's
Yeah,
my least favorite
yeah,
pick.
I
I
heard
think
that
I
one.
think he's going to be him, Jordan Addison, and Quentin Johnson are all three going to be bust. Yeah, I can't really rank who's the least favorite of my
Okay.
picks of those three though.
Most shocking pick. For me, it was Jamar Gibbs. Obviously, I think we can all agree to that one. Who would have thought that at 12? But the other one, honestly, is not because of the team that picked it, but just how it happened, and that is Will Anderson Jr. I mean, who would have thought the Texans would have picked CJ at 2 and then managed to get back at 3? So that's definitely the most shocking for me.
I'm gonna do something that's probably gonna hurt some feelings here. My most shocking is gonna be Mozzie Smith.
Fucking. Why? Why? Tell me.
I mean, could he have had a first round grade? Yes. Was teams high on him at that area? Yes. But me personally, I still had him like mid second round. I mean, probably within pick 7 to 15 in the second round. I just think it was too much of a reach. I mean, honestly, I would have liked Miles Murphy there better.
I think the only other defensive tackle that was taken in the first round that's better than Mozzie Smith is Kalijah Cansey. I do not think Brian Breesy is better. I do not think that Jalen Carter is better.
Ooh, okay. All right. Biggest disappointing pick. For me, it would be Quentin Johnson is my number one. Because I mean, I do support the Chargers. I think they have a great social media team that fucking murders me. It's just a fun team to watch. I would consider them, like I said before, like probably my number 3 team. And that's just in that position, man. I really wish they would have got Zay Flowers. I really wanted that. Now, my true number 1 disappointing, it's for pure selfish reasons, is Dalton Kincaid to Buffalo. And you guys know why. I wanted him in Jacksonville. But that's just me being selfish.
Yeah, I'll say Dalton Kincaid for the same reason that you said, because I really thought Dallas. I was really hoping that he would be in Dallas. I know that I wanted Tucker Kraft in Dallas, but if we were gonna say right now he can go out on the field and help you right now, Dalton Kincaid would have been mine.
You're disappointing, right?
Yeah, we're in disappointing.
Yes. Bijan Robinson.
Really? Okay.
Interesting.
Out of all of the needs that the Falcons have, why waste a pick? Why waste the first pick on a running back?
I think it's the same reason the Green Bay Packers drafted 2 tight ends. They were expecting a trade.
I'm actually gonna agree with Jacob. Do I like the pick to help their team? Yes. Do I think it should have been done at 8? Absolutely not. You could have done one or two things. You could have traded out. You got better value. Now, yes, if you didn't pick him there at 8, was Philadelphia most likely going to take him at 9 or 10? Yeah, most likely. But you also got to think, I honestly don't think they would have. I think compared to Jalen Carter or Bijan, they were probably going to take Jalen Carter anyways, just because you can't give up that kind of talent being right there. And there was a second running back that was there surprisingly in the mid first round that I expected to be there and later that you could have also taken and not have too much of a fall off. So I'm going to be Bijan Robinson as well.
Okay. So yeah, I'm the only one that did the predicting players, right?
No, I did too.
Oh, okay. Well, let's speed run these real quick. So bust of the first round, Quentin Johnson.
Jalen Carter.
Anthony Richardson.
Who's your career starter?
I have 3. Well, it was average career starter.
Yeah.
So I took that as just like they were going to have an average career, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I had Jordan Addison, Will Anderson Jr., and Emmanuel Forbes.
Will Anderson Jr. was my pick for career starter. Pro Bowler. Lucas Van Ness for me.
Jackson Smith and Jigba, Peter Skoronski, and Devin Witherspoon.
If we're doing more, I'm gonna throw in Jack Campbell into that there. But all right, Hall of Famer. Who do you want to try to predict who's gonna be a Hall of Famer? I got 2.
I also have 2. I have Paris Johnson Jr. and I have Jack Campbell, baby.
Yes. I have Dalton Kincaid and Kalijah Cansey, Hall of Famers. Book it. Get the gold jacket ready right now.
Yeah, I had Paris Johnson Jr. and Dalton Kincaid.
All right, so we're near the end of the show anyway. So if we could, let's try to speed round the remaining 2 days. Apparently, I got my soup ready inside, and I'm being summoned, which I am pretty fucking hungry. It's been a very long day. All right, so day 2, favorite pick.
Joey Porter Jr. How can it not be?
That was one of mine. I had 2. I had Joey Porter Jr. and Hendon Hooker for day 2.
Yeah, it'd probably be my 2 as well.
Joe Tippmann to the Jets.
That would probably be my 3rd. And you'll know why here in a minute.
Yeah. Cody Mock, obviously, was my favorite, and then Joey Porter Jr.
Cody Mock would also be one of mine. We'll see that in a minute. Least favorite. My true least favorite is the Kendra Miller from New Orleans. I just didn't like the pick flat out, but a selfish least favorite is Luke Musgrave to the fucking Green Bay fuck Packers. So mad about that. Also, I think we lost Ricky. I think Ricky was lost to time.
Marvin Mims to the Broncos.
Okay.
I hate Jacob.
I think we're
but
slowly
but
getting Ricky back. I mean,
I hate Jacob, but I'll agree with him.
all right, Ricky, you back? No.
Wait, get that picture. Get that picture. Get
I
that
See, I can
Man, you're a robot. I think it's funny. Like, I want everyone listening to know this man uses a hotspot to do the show, and we have so little problems with that. So little problems with that. And I think it's funny. The last episode we have before we go on a break, and we got a problem. That would be our luck. Well, whenever he kind of reconnects, we'll follow back up. Most shocking pick for me, Sam Laporta. The fact that he went above Michael Mayer. But at the same time, it's like, is it shocking, though? Because that's a Dan Campbell guy. But it was shocking in the moment, for sure.
Brian Branch, just specifically because of how far he fell.
That's
And
fair.
2 for 2 here. I'm agreeing with Jacob. Brian Branch. With him having a mid to late first round grade for me, and then for him to fall where he did, like, that's absolutely insane.
For disappointing, okay, so I meant to get another pick here because I literally have this guy's name but my disappointing, I just have Luke Musgrave just because, again, I don't want him to be a fucking Packer. So I'm just going to rock with it.
I think I'm back.
I think you're back. All right, what was your most shocking pick?
See, here's the thing, though, gentlemen. I could hear everything y'all said, but you were frozen, and y'all can hear the damn thing I could say. My most shocking pick, I think I'm going to say Osiris Torres, not because it wasn't a good pick, because his pick. I thought he was going to be an early second round, not late first round pick.
So you sound like a robot, but I was able to hear everything that you said. I did hear you.
I hate this thing. I hate this thing.
Hey, one day you'll get internet, man. One day you'll actually be able to have internet. Oh, man.
God bless. I just get it. The Raiders can't draft
Now I can't hear what you're saying anymore. Man, he's having a time right now. Oh, God. All right. So, Jacob, you've got picks for the 4 things again for day 2?
Yes.
Okay. Who's your bust? Mine's Will Levis.
I have Isaiah Foskey, who got picked up by the Saints, and Jonathan Mingo, who got picked up by the Panthers.
career starter.
Joey Porter Jr. and Jalen Hyatt.
Mine's Darnell Washington. Who's your Pro Bowler?
DJ Johnson and Brenton Strange.
I've got Cody Mock. I love that pick so much. All right, who's going to be your Hall of Famer?
Cody Mock and Shane's going to love this one. Drew Sanders.
What? Get Drew Sanders the gold jacket.
Hell
Wow.
yeah, baby.
My Hall of Fame prediction is going to be the second coming of Nick Mangold up in New York, baby. He's going to be Joe Tippmann.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for it. All right.
Ricky missed that, by the way. Ricky missed that pick.
Yeah, he did.
I don't care. I hate freaking internet.
Ricky, I picked that Drew Sanders is going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that was one of his Hall of Fame picks for day 2. There you go. I think he said yes. He's smiling. We see the frozen smile. All right, boys. Day 3. Let's get through this. Favorite pick of day 3. I've said this guy's name like 4 times now. Chase fucking Brown, Cincinnati.
Luke Weipler.
That's my next one.
Noah Sewell.
All right, Rick, are you there to give your favorite pick of day 3?
Screw day 3. It's probably going to be a rope anyway.
All right, least favorite pick for me is the Roshan Johnson for Chicago.
I struggled with this one. I think it's going to be Jarek Reed II. Seattle.
Oh, okay. I think we just lost Ricky probably for the rest of the show.
Probably.
That's my guess. Well, Rick, if you're going to listen to that for the fact, I appreciate you.
Least favorite?
Yeah,
Least
least favorite.
favorite.
Yeah, least favorite day 3.
It was between 2 guys, but I'm not gonna say one. I'm gonna say Zach Evans to the Rams.
Okay. Most shocking pick of day 3 for me, it was Luke Weipler. The fact that he went that low. 6th round is unbelievable.
I think mine's going to be the Max Dugan pick. Only 2 reasons. Because he went to a team that is never going to use him, so I think it was a waste of a pick. And 2, because I'm surprised he was even drafted at all.
Okay. Yeah, we lost Ricky for the rest of the show. He said, screw it, my internet sucks. Go Cowboys. So, Ricky, appreciate you, man. So, yeah, shocking. Shane, did you shout yours?
I did not.
Okay.
DeJuan Jones, just based on where he fell into that day 3.
Fair. Disappointing. For me, it's actually Tanner McKee. I hate that. I hate that he went to Philly where he's just going to be a backup.
Same.
Yeah, same.
I hate that a lot.
That's actually crazy.
I hate that a lot. All right, so for the predictions, did you pick out a bust? Because I didn't. I feel like it's hard to label someone a bust in day 3. You know what I mean? So I feel like that was unfair. If I had to pick one, it'd be Stetson Bennett. But like,
I picked 1.
I feel like that's such an unfair thing to do.
Yeah,
I
didn't.
1, and I already talked about him.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't pick anybody in for day 3 just because you get picked day 3, you're not really even really supposed to make the team, let alone do anything.
Yeah.
But I did pick 2 potential Hall of Famers here.
Oh, okay.
Picked Noah Sewell, by the way.
For your bust?
Yep.
I hope you're wrong.
I do too. 2 potential Hall of Famers, Charlie Jones and DeJuan Jones.
Ooh, I like those.
I picked 2 Pro Bowlers. Deuce Vaughn and Jake Haener. Yeah, especially if the Derek Carr experiment fails.
Fair. That's very fair. All right, so for career starter, I picked out as my number 1 career starter Corey Trice, Pittsburgh, cornerback, 7th round from Purdue. I like that pick a lot.
I think I picked Parker Washington for that.
I like that.
Career starter. I don't really have one, but I'll go through and find one real quick.
While you're looking, I'm gonna shout my Pro Bowler, Tyler Scott. Let's get it. He's gonna be a Pro Bowler in Chicago.
Keyshawn Boutte, New England.
Oh, be a
Receiver
career
for
starter. I
LSU.
could see that. I could see that. I could see him just being an average career starter, like a 10-year pro. You know, just kind of getting the job done every once in a while. Yeah, Pro Bowler for me, Tyler Scott, Chicago. Let's get it.
I really want Jake Haener to be a Pro Bowler.
Fair.
Man, if things go his way and he becomes the second back for this team and he puts up 600 to 700 yards rushing, has a good return game, I could see him getting in there as a Pro Bowler. Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, true. All right, Hall of Famer prediction. Jacob, you're gonna like mine.
Okay, so I picked this before news broke today of a certain someone getting a contract extension.
You picked Sean Clifford.
I did pick Sean Clifford.
Wow. Never
Specifically
would've seen
because I have zero faith in Jordan Love, and I think Sean Clifford would be a great NFL starting quarterback.
that. Wow. Never saw that one coming.
Hopefully Tyler's still not here.
Yeah, he was chatting earlier. Yeah, he was chatting earlier. I'd
He-
be curious his thoughts on that. I may text him and see what he thinks if he's not here. My Hall of Famer is the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, the future Hall of Famer for the Cleveland Browns, Luke Weipler from The Ohio State University.
You know, for some reason, like the first thought in my head when you said I was going to be proud of it was Deuce Vaughn. And I had the question ready that, do you think he would beat Emmitt Smith's record? And it, didn't happen. It's fine.
The
I
answer
am
to that
totally
question
okay
is
with
no.
Luke Weipler being a Hall of Famer.
The answer to your question, though, is no.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think anybody's going to beat that record.
No, just simply because Emmitt Smith had to fucking beat his body down and drag himself there to get there. I mean,
Yep.
I'm very hard in the boat. Emmitt Smith's not the best running back of all time. My opinion will never change on that. Just because he drug his ass across the finish line for the record doesn't mean he's the best. That's just my opinion.
That's a conversation for another time.
That is, because I'll
That
give you
is.
3 running backs that I think are better than Emmitt.
Yeah, I can probably name at least 3 to 4.
Probably name one of them, and that's LT.
No,
Yep.
No?
no.
Barry Sanders.
That's number 1 all time. My opinion will never be changed. I have a full document. It's saved in my phone of comparing stats, comparing years they played, comparing their offensive line, comparing the offensive line Pro Bowls and all pros and everything. I have a full stat sheet ready to go at any time. Because me and Brady
He
argue
just
about
got
this.
a gun loaded, bro.
I do. I really do. I have a full fucking document ready to go on this anytime someone wants to argue, because me and Brady argue about this all the time. Like I'm constantly loaded. Like my gun's loaded at all times. Like I just couple clicks. The it's in my OneNote, so literally the title of the note is just called "Fuck You, Brady." Like it's loaded, it's ready to go at all times. Like I'm ready to go. fuck Brady, that piece of shit. Oh. Anyway, Shane, did you shout your Hall of Famer for day 3?
I did it when the very start, DeJuan Jones.
Oh, that's right. My bad. All right, so that should cover our entire thoughts of the draft. So we can probably go and wrap up the show, because I'm starving and I've got like some like potato soup in there that just sounds amazing right now, and I'm ready to go I'm ready to get after it. So yeah, like we mentioned earlier in the show, this will be our last episode here for a little bit. We'll do 1 episode in June and 1 in July. There's no date on that. Go follow us over at Twitter at Terrible FB Show. You can also just follow me at AlexLight23 or join the Discord that's linked down in the description below. And we'll keep everyone up to date on when we're going to do episodes, on what exact day. As of now, no plan. And then we will be back to weekly scheduling beginning of August. I think it's literally like August 1st. I could be wrong on that, but I mean, it's right there at the beginning, so that's pretty cool. And then back to weekly schedule here for season 3 of ATFS. Great off season by the boys. A lot of mock drafts, a lot of draft talk, a lot of free agency talk, a lot of good times there. Can't wait. Because, I mean, think about it, guys. Next time that we're fully doing this show, I'm not counting June and July, college football is going to be right there. You know what I mean? And NFL is going to be right there. Like, we're going to be so close. It's going to be great. If you want to keep track of all the boys, Ricky's got his own show called Talking Sports with Ricky and Forrest, I believe is what it's called. You can go subscribe to them on YouTube. I think it's down in the description below. Shane, his stuff's down in the below as well for his Twitch and his Twitter. Jacob's stuff's down there as well if you want to follow him. But Jacob's also been part of the AniMan Plus squad, so you'll still see him over there. Shane's got some stuff in the works as well for Sparky 3, so you'll see him there as well. For everyone that's been listening to this show, we appreciate the shit out of you, especially during this off season, kind of getting up to this point. The draft is great. Now it's just time to kick back and relax for a little bit. I'm pumped. I'm pumped for $5 movie Tuesdays. That's one of my. I love going to the movies on Tuesday. That's my day. $5 tickets, baby. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'll probably actually see you on Tuesday watching Guardians of the Galaxy.
What theater are you going to? Because I'm going to Movie Tavern.
You going to Movie Tavern, or are you spend the money?
I always go to the Movie Tavern. I am bougie now. I've spoiled myself too damn much.
I've never been there just because I've heard that it costs so much.
It's a special trip, let me tell you. But unfortunately, that special trip's become an every time trip for me because I just love it so much. But yeah,
I'll try my hardest not to spoil anything for you guys because I'm seeing it the midnight release.
Oh, you can spoil everything. Shoot me a
Wednesday
message.
night.
I don't give a shit. I love spoilers. Tell me everything. You will not offend me.
What?
I love spoilers. Different conversation, different day. Anyway, we're gonna wrap things up. Thank you so much for listening through everything through this off season. We'll see you guys sometime in June. Later.